What's up, everybody, and welcome into the H&M Trucking Podcast. I am your host, Marcus, as always, and we are jam-flippin' packed today, so let's hit the music right off the top.
From Omaha, Nebraska, to whatever lane you're driving, this is the H&M Trucking Podcast with your host, Marcus Bridges.
We are back with another great episode for you. Thank you so much for being here today. Last week, we did a little doffed of the custom H&M cap to the women behind H&M Trucking, and this week, we're doing a Father's Day special. That's right, dads are the order of the day, and I will get to talking about my dad here in just a minute, but first, I want to bring you a little bit of a freight market update. I love my button bar. So once again, this freight market update is coming to you courtesy of DAT Freight and Analytics. We're not a sponsored segment here, but they are the ones that I'm sourcing this information from with the help of Tim from JFL Logistics. The dry van report this week is looking as such. The American Trucking Association's Advanced Seasonally Adjusted For-Hire Truck Tonnage Index, mouthful, that fell 1.7% in April after decreasing 2.8% in March. Compared with April 22, the SA index decreased 3.4%, which was the largest year-over-year decrease since February 21. Here's a quote from ATA Chief Economist Bob Costello. He says, quote, "While the broader economy continues to surprise and thus far stave off an expected recession, the freight economy is starkly different. The goods portion of the economy is soft, and as a result, even contract freight is now falling, albeit not nearly as much as the spot market. The tonnage index hit the lowest level since September 21 in April and has now fallen on a year-over-year basis for 2 straight months. ATA's for-hire truck tonnage index is dominated by contract freight instead of spot market freight. It serves as a barometer of the U.S. economy, representing 72.2% of tonnage carried by all modes of domestic freight transportation, including manufactured retail goods." Look, what this tells me, and I'm no economist, I am a podcast host, important thing to remember, but what this tells me is that we're near the bottom, right? We're not going to be able to go any lower here before too long, so there's good things on the horizon. I do have sources in the industry, people that I talk to and give me an idea about what they think is going to happen and when. And I'll tell you that I heard a lot when I was over in Omaha and out in the Midwest meeting people that August is kind of when people are eyeing. Now, nobody can predict this and say with 100% certainty that that's when everything turns around and we start climbing the mountain again. But I guess it's a pretty good barometer. These guys I was talking to, let's just say, they know their shit, okay? I don't know any better way to put it. So hang in there because I know it's not pretty right now, but it will get back to a better market condition out there if we give it enough time. So that's your freight market update. Let's turn the focus to dads, huh? Father's Day is right around the corner, and there's a ton of great dads that work for H&M Trucking, whether they be in trucks or in the office or in the shop. We're going to get to talk to some of them coming up here later on in the episode. But for right now, I thought that I would sit here and tell you a little bit about my dad. His name is Les, and he's my best friend in the world. I'll tell you right now, I know he's listening to this because he's also, just like my mom and just like my sister that I mentioned last week, he is one of, if not my very biggest fan, and that's what's kept me going. That's what's kept me chasing this dream of being a broadcaster and being a personality that talks into a microphone for a living. It's not easy, and I needed the support from the people that love me and believe in me, and he's always been one of them. One of my favorite things to do with my dad is golf. We play a lot of golf together. Anytime we can get in the same city, we will have golf clubs on board. You can look for it. We also love to get out and hunt. I grew up as a hunter. I think I carried a rifle for the first time when I was 12 or 13 years old, and that was all because of my dad. He grew up in a hunting family, and he was able to pass down to me some of the great traditions and the expertise and the knowledge it requires to actually go out and fell a beast of the forest. One of my favorite memories being I told him on a late afternoon hunt years back that I finally had decided that I was going to ask my now wife to marry me. And on the ridge that we were walking out that day, my dad has taken down like 4 or 5 bull elk since then. We call that ridge Les's Ridge. I used to call it Proposal Ridge, but let's be honest. He did the dad thing, and he took it over like he should have. That's his ridge, and it will be for as long as I'm fortunate enough to hunt out in that area. So I want to wish my dad a very happy Father's Day. Thank you so much for always being there for me, for being one of my best friends, and always including me in every activity. He coached my baseball teams. He videotaped every single football game that I ever played in. The guy didn't get to watch my football games because he was videotaping them so that we could watch them later. And let's not forget, we spent so many weekends out on the lake. I was a boat family growing up. I was fortunate enough to learn how to water ski and wakeboard as a very young guy. And despite all the injuries I've given myself, countless concussions and one blown out knee, those are the days that I look back on with some of the fondest memories. So, Dad, happy Father's Day. I know you're listening, and I really hope you enjoy the episode. Let's get to the interviews. H&M Trucking takes great pride in their driver advocacy program, and we here at the H&M Trucking podcast take great pride in getting to talk to Deanna from Driver Advocacy every single week, and she's here with me now. How's it going, Deanna?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be back.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's our pleasure to host you, and I'm always happy. I'll be honest with you, scheduling has been a little bit of a headache, and you are always somebody that I can count on. It's like, I'll just text her the day before, and we'll do it. And that's always worked. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
I try to be flexible, especially with things that, pop up. Life is life, and they kind of get hectic sometimes during the week. So I always kind of allot sometimes just for you, Marcus, just for you.
I really do appreciate you, and you know that. I try to lay that on as thick as I can every single time so that you don't stop coming in to hang out with me. So, you know what? I want to do this right off the top today.
And now Deanna's Quick Stop Tip of the Week on the H&M Trucking Podcast.
It's time for Deanna's Quick Stop Tip of the Week. What do you got for the drivers out there?
Yeah, so I have been doing a lot of orientation calls this week, talking to newer drivers that are transitioning kind of into the role. And so I thought it would be a good kind of tip of the week just to kind of give some newer transitioning drivers some tips on how trucking can affect them mentally, but also how the year is going to look and some goals they can make and some career goals they can have in mind for the future.
Perfect. Well, you're the right person to do that, so lay it on me. What do you got?
Awesome. So my first tip, and this is the website I found it from, it's called Advanced Career Institute, and so they have 7 tips, but I'm going to do 3 because I think these are the most important. So we've got trucking is mental more than physical. So when you're out on the road, you're alone, H&M doesn't really do team drivers, so you're solo. You kind of have to think about your mental health first and foremost because it can be very isolating. You're thousands of miles, sometimes more, away from your family and your friends. So it's good to kind of check in on them, weekly or daily, whichever you need. And if you don't have close family you can talk to or friends, always call your girl Deanna, Driver Advocacy. I will be there for you.
Shameless plug.
Exactly. But yeah, I think just checking in, making sure, mental health is, in my opinion, not always the foremost thing you think about, but it is extremely important, especially when you're out and isolated.
It really is. And, I'm a avid golfer, and my dad always told me the hardest course that you'll ever play is the 6 inches between your ears. And I think that is that can be translated right into driving, right? The hardest road you're ever going to drive is the 6 inches between your ears, because especially after you end up as a professional driver for a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. When I was out in the Midwest, I went to a celebration that honored a guy that had over 4 million safe miles under his belt. That guy could drive coast to coast without even thinking about the road and just have so much safety and all these things that are just instinctual. What about his mental health? That is a great tip, and it's a great point to really think of, and that's why driver advocacy is here, right? One of the reasons is to, give Deanna a call, let her cheer you up a little bit, let her give you that quick lube, fix up. If you only have 15 minutes to talk to her, give her that 15 minutes. I promise you'll come out better on the other side. What's next?
Absolutely. Okay. So the next tip is your main goal should be no accidents. So you should, first and foremost, always think of safety. And your first year is pivotal for that, because it gives you a long-term goal to achieve, but it's also really good for your record. So I know it's hard, sometimes it's out of our control. We get into an accident, we think, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I have to let my company know. I have all these things kind of trickle down. But I think always in the back of your mind, just think about safety, think about, using your turn signals, stuff that, is kind of basic, but you, as a new driver, sometimes, it slips your mind. So as a new driver, think about year one goal, no accidents.
And also think about that, maybe that first company that you work for might not be the one that you're always working for, and think about how hard it was to find a job with no driving record whatsoever. It's going to be maybe harder as a driver with 1 year under your belt to find a new job after an accident is recorded on your record. So, and preventable accident, of course, is a big key word there. So always good to think about. How about number 3?
Awesome. So I think in any career, I think it's always good to have your career goals, out and front and center. Just writing down your top priorities and what you want to be as a truck driver. Like, do you want to do something OTR? Do you want to be more of a local driver? Kind of your overall goals. Like, how much do I want to make? How much do I want a lot of savings? Kind of just having that up in mind. And that's a little side homework you can do. Just to kind of get your goals in motion. I have a vision board. I do a vision board every year. That helps me a lot. I don't know if you do that in a truck because you don't want to veer off the road or look. Other than that,
right? Yeah,
it's good. It's kind of a good thing to have. Okay, this year, this is what I have. These are the goals I have out in front of me. These are things that I want to achieve, and it actually works. I know. It actually does work. I think visualizing, kind of keeping your goals up front and always in your mind is a great way to continue your career.
Yeah, it really is. And like you said, maybe work on that on your 34, 36-hour reset on the tablet in your sleeper, wherever you can. But those are great tips. And the other thing that I would tell you is, if you're fortunate enough to work for a place like H&M that will kind of work with you on where you're at, another goal that you could think of is, where do I want to be? What part of the country do I want to see? So many of these drivers that I talk to, that's one of the first things they said. Oh, yeah, I told them I wanted to be in the Pacific Northwest, and they sent me to the Pacific Northwest or the East Coast, or, hey, I want to stay the hell out of New York City, or I don't want to go around Atlanta. This is something that I've heard multiple times over from drivers right here on this podcast. H&M will work with you for that. So if you're a first-time driver and you're listening to this podcast and you're not working for H&M, these are things to remember. If you are working for H&M, I'm sure you've already got these things in your pocket, but it's always good to rehash them, go over it again, get your goals lined out so that you really have a good idea where you want to be in your career. 2 years ago, I was sitting in this very room and I said, I would like to be hosting a podcast about truck drivers for truck drivers, and lo and behold, here I am. I fudged that a little bit. I didn't actually think I wanted to be speaking into this microphone. That was my goal. And I was able to make it come to fruition because I thought about it and I really worked towards it. So do that. listen to Deanna and call her when you get the opportunity, because this chick's got some good stuff on her mind.
And now Deanna's quick stop tip of the week on the H&M Trucking Podcast.
Moving right along, our episode theme this week is we're doing kind of a Father's Day special here. And, I talked a little bit about my dad in the opening, and I want to give you a chance to talk about your upbringing, your dad, anything you might have learned from him. I know that it was a big part of your upbringing was kind of, working on cars and stuff like that. That's where that comes from, I would assume. But tell me about Deanna's dad.
Yeah, absolutely. So my dad was actually a Air Force veteran. So in the Air Force, he worked on the jets. He was a jet mechanic. So he knew everything about mechanics. So when he came home, he had me. He was like, you're never going to not know anything about mechanics, because that's just his thing. So he could pretty much work on anything. I give it to him. He can take it apart, put it back together, make it run better. It's crazy.
That doesn't surprise me when you're talking about working on like Air Force jets. It's like those kind of have to be the peak, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be peak of mechanics for sure. For sure. Yeah, that would be that would be something you wouldn't want to screw up for sure.
Yeah. Keep this thing in the air, please. We don't want to throw a rod at 30,000 feet, okay?
Right. The pressure. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So learned, very early on how to take care of a car, how to, treat it right and clean it and all good things. So I definitely attribute that to my dad. I also learned a lot of financial savvy things from him because he was an engineer. So he got back from the Air Force, he went into engineering, and he was very stock market savvy, which I wish I would have gotten a little bit more. I tried to kind of dip my toes in the stock market, but I'm just too scared. But as far as investing, I definitely go to him with any advice on financial stuff. But yeah, those are the two main things I learned, I think. He was very financially savvy, so he definitely taught me a lot about that.
That's awesome. Dipping your toes in the stock market pool can quickly translate into, I can't swim and I'm drowning out here in the ocean. A lot of people have learned that the hard way.
It's so intimidating. I've been reading books and I got a Charles Schwab account and I was going through that and I'm like, oh my God, all the different things. I'm just overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, is there a investing for dummies that I could
There probably is. There probably is, but the question is how much value is it going to have to you when you've got an asset like your dad that you might be able to ping,
Exactly.
And there's enough movies about Wall Street billionaires bilking good people out of all of their money. So I say, if you can find a better way to do, we covered this going way, way, way back to one of the very first episodes. One of my stock market tips was to go to Vegas and gamble because it's so much more fun. At least when you're losing it, you feel like you had a good time. So, Deanna, we are all out of time for today. I want to thank you very much for stopping by. The tip of the week was awesome. Always love talking about your upbringing and how you got into cars and restoring Super Bees and all of the awesome things that you do. Hit your hours so the drivers out there with H&M know where they can call you and when.
Absolutely. So I am Eastern time. So I'm Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then I work 3 hours on Sunday, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
And you can hear her right here on the H&M Trucking Podcast every single week. Have a great day, okay?
Awesome. You guys too.
Joining us now on the H&M Trucking Podcast for our driver profile this week is H&M driver Chris Gussenhoven. Chris, thank you so much for being here today. Where are you at right now and where are you headed to?
I'm coming into St. Louis, and I'm headed back to Omaha, West Yard. However, my last name is actually Gussenhoven.
Gussenhoven. You know what? I thought I had it down, and I should have asked you before we came on, and I butchered it.
That's okay. I was on the same board with my dispatcher, Stacy, and she finally, after 7 years, asked me how to pronounce it, Gussenhoven or Gussenhoven, which is why now I let people know what it is. after 7 years, you would think.
Yeah, it's a good idea to let us know, because people like me will just run right over it and butcher it and never think twice. So I appreciate you.
It's all good.
I appreciate it. How long have you been a professional driver, and then how long have you been driving for H&M, Chris?
Okay, I've been driving about 17 years. Started in 2006. I've been with H&M about 10 years. Drove for them for about 2.5 years. Went somewhere else to make good money, and boy, that was a mistake. I couldn't wait to get back to H&M, but I've been with them about a total of 10 years.
And why was it that you couldn't wait to get back? What was different? I mean, obviously, a lot of people will leave companies, especially in this industry, for a better paycheck, but what did you find that was so much better about H&M that you couldn't wait to get back?
It was the people, the equipment, everything about that company. I didn't leave H&M because I was unhappy. Somebody talked me into it because they were paying more. That was teaming, running reefer, and no other people there were horrible. Their equipment was bad, poor maintenance, not much interested in safety. Everything that I love H&M, but there was one time I worked for one company, Central, for a week. I said, no. I don't know you guys are smoking, but I'm not going to go along with this.
I hear a lot from a lot of drivers, and it's fitting, because this week obviously is our Father's Day special, and we'll get to more about your fatherhood here in a minute. But I hear a lot about H&M being a very family-oriented company and very good about taking care of people and equipment alike. That probably makes it pretty easy to come to work every day, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I can look forward to it. But you're right, it is about family. My wife had a couple of heart attacks, I called H&M, and they're like, well, go home, go to the hospital right now, take the drug, Whereas other companies would want you to, do something different. But, the number one thing with them is family and safety. And I'm all about that. That's great.
Now, is your wife back in good health now?
Yeah, she's fine now. I had some back problems here in the last year. I took 6 weeks off, and that's how long it took me to get good again. But they gave me the time off. The company would have sent somebody out to get the truck, The way H&M operates, they'll give you the truck, and it's your truck, to take care of, which is good, because I know every squeak in this truck, You know what you got every day. There's some places that will slip seat the drivers. You get a different truck every day.
Right.
So no one ever takes care of maintenance or washes it. Whereas H&M, they let you wash it twice. Not cheap.
No, I imagine not. It's a big piece of machinery.
Yeah, well, it'd be it could be a couple $100 every month, and they got 250 drivers. But they want, us to look respectable and professional. H&M's a good company, and I've been to several. I started with Schneider, drove for them for 5.5 years. They weren't a bad company, but over there you're just a number.
You feel a little bit more respected and better represented at H&M, yeah.
Yeah. I really don't have anything bad to say about Schneider, but it's much more personal here. It's more family related. Feel more like we're part of a team.
Yeah. No, I hear that a lot. So I with respect to what you said about, taking care of your truck, are you one of those old school wrench turners that'll get out and fix a problem on your own on your truck? Are you pretty savvy with that type of stuff?
Somewhat. I picked up an old trailer the other day, and the pins wouldn't launch because we can slide the rear wheels back and forth, to get the weight right. And the pins wouldn't come out to launch the rear wheels on the trailer. Took me an hour and a half, but I finally got the pins to pop out. I had to use a hammer and everything else, line up the holes just right with the pins, and use the can of WD-40. I'm no mechanic, though.
Oh, it sounds like you've got a good idea how to fix the problem, though. That seems like a pretty important one. If you can't get your tandems to lock in, that might cause some problems down the road. Yeah.
Well, immediately you hit the brakes and the tires stop, and there's nothing holding them. They can go straight out the back of the trailer into the highway. Oh yeah, I've seen it done. It's horrible. I'm not taking that down the road. I'm sure I got life insurance, but the wife doesn't need it just yet.
Sure. How long have you been married, Chris?
40 years.
Wow, congratulations. That's awesome. That's
half all marriages end in divorce, but the other half end in death. I'm a goner.
I love it.
I got too much invested in it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're a committed driver and a committed husband, and on that track of thought, also a committed father. Now, you told me when we first got on the phone to schedule this interview that you actually didn't start driving truck until after your daughter had already gone to college. Is that correct?
Yeah, she had started college there at UT Mark. I had a TV shop, great business for like 30 years. Sold RCAs and Bangkok. And one time I had a dozen employees, with all the satellite work and everything. But nowadays, no one fixes anything.
Yeah, just buy a new one, right?
That's it, so the business is winding down. And I thought, heck with it, I'll go drive a truck. It's the life of a sailor, but hey, I used to be a sailor. So.
Okay. Gotcha. So you're a little bit used to it. Now, would you have ever been able to be a truck driver while your daughter was still at home and young and actually be away from her so long?
Well, I don't think I could run over the road. I had to have something where I could be multiple up off. Yeah, it'd be really, really tough to raise a family while you're driving a truck over the road. Some guys manage to find a way, which is amazing. I have a friend here at H&M. He raised his family, and now he's raised his grandchildren.
Wow.
He's lucky enough, he lives right off I-80 and going through there quite a bit. He finds a way to get home to watch the grandkids play softball. There's Father of the Year there, Gene Gordon. He's amazing.
Oh, it sounds like it.
Yeah. I live in a very rural part of Tennessee, actually, outside of Columbia, Tennessee. There's never any chance coming around to me by my house. But, yeah, I mean, it's really tough. It's hard for the drivers. They have to make time, for their family. After 40 years of marriage, the wife still recognizes me when I get home. But, I'm out like 6 weeks at a time,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's, you can't do that really raise a family. What I found is these guys find a way to make time for the family. Get home more often. H&M doesn't require I stay out that long. It's just that you can make more money if you stay out. I figure I'll do this about 2 more years. By that time, I should have the house.
Okay. Well, it's
68.
You're 68, so you got a couple more years left in you. Well, you sound great for 68 for sure. I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that ever if you would have just asked me to guess your age. So
I get lucky every once in a while. They'll route me. We pick up in Sherwin-Williams in Richmond, Kentucky, and my daughter lives out there now. So when I'm going through there, I take them out to dinner. At least get some face time done. And she'll take a week off work every year, and so will I. It's hard, though, driving a truck and raising a family.
Can you tell me, Chris, about a time, have you ever surprised your daughter, showing up at a place where she didn't think you were going to be, and all of a sudden there you were?
I don't really think so. I never tried to surprise her that way. That may have happened when she was trying to get away with something. No, she's great. She never... put me through what I did to my parents. I know I'm an identical twin. My mom always wished that I have twin boys that were just like us. Oh, Mom, you don't mean it. What a cruel, mean thing to say. So yeah, we were hard, but she was wonderful. Got a full scholarship going to UT Mark. I just had to buy cars and books.
That's great.
Except. Yeah, but then she did postgraduate work, and I'm still paying on some of those ones.
Yeah, it ain't cheap, Chris. There's no question. It ain't cheap. Well, I got to ask you, you said you were you're one of two twin boys, and you put your parents through the ringer. You got any stories you want to share with me about some of the things you got into as a kid that really put your parents to the test?
Yeah, we were horrible. I remember, we were like 6 years old and found ways to get up on the roof, And,
on the roof?
Yell at it. Yeah, the roof of the house, and come down here right now. So, we jumped off the roof. We were incorrigible. We were always getting in trouble, but not so much anymore. But yeah, we were identical twins.
Was there anything that you learned from your dad as a kid that you've kind of passed on and tried to teach your daughter or tried to apply to your parenting?
Well, he did teach me to drive. I guess in some way that, although he never drove a truck, and he was learned. But his easygoing mannerisms and stuff, I guess, he wouldn't let things bother him. Great conversationalist. But as far as, these are some tough questions. As far as things that I passed on to my daughter, I'm certain, but I can't think of them.
Sure. Sure. Well, I figured I'd put you on the spot just a little bit, that's my job here. But was there anything that you would not miss for your daughter? Like, obviously you already talked about your wife with having some heart attacks and H&M saying, get home, be there. Is there anything like that for your daughter, like a graduation or a birthday or anything where it's bar none, you're going to be there. It doesn't matter what's going on. You can't miss it.
Well, sure. Like college graduation stuff. H&M, they'll work with you. Just put in for time off. If it's for the family, you sure. Then you'll be off. Yeah, never any problems that way.
Well, I like to hear that. I talking to so many dads, it makes me wonder what you guys have missed, and I'm always worried that maybe you've missed more than you wanted to. But
no, it's like I said. By the time I started driving, my daughter was already. She had just started college, so she was out of the house at that point. Haven't really seen her as much as I would like since then. Because she's got her own life now.
Yeah, that happens when you grow up.
That's just it. At least H&M, if there's something important happening in your children's life, just put in the time at home. They'll make damn sure you're there. Whereas a lot of companies, not so much,
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I'm not saying H&M is perfect, but when you put it all together, they're the best.
That's great. That's good. Well, you're not the only person that's told me that, Chris, and I start to really believe that it is the truth. And I hear a lot of great stories, about them helping out. And I get to talk to James Fonda on this podcast almost every week. And it's amazing to me how often I hear him talk about, trying to have drivers' backs for things like that and trying to support them and just be, I guess what you would say, a good boss, not that guy who's going to tell you no when you really need to hear yes.
Yeah, Randy isn't there anymore, but he was the one that started all that. I mean, damn sure you're going to get your own time. And it's just tradition now. I have no complaint. Good.
Well, I've been putting this question out there today to some of the dads, so I might as well ask it to you as well, Chris. Can you give me what the ideal Father's Day gift would be from your wife and your daughter? Something that they come up with that they could give you that would just be the best Father's Day gift you could imagine?
Really, just more time together. Some way for us all to get together and do something. It wouldn't matter what it is, parasailing, surfing, or just a dinner out with family. If there's something I want or need, of course I can just go out and buy it,
Right.
FaceTime with the family. If they could put that in an envelope, I would love it. But as far as what I would recommend them buy for Father's Day, well, that's a tough question. Every guy's different, But yeah, that's what I would appreciate the most. Just time together.
You're not the only person to answer that way, so it's really cool to hear that be the case. Well, listen, Chris, I've taken enough of your time today. I don't want to be a pain in your side when you've already got a pain in your side called St. Louis traffic. So We'll get off of here and let you get back to it. And just thank you so much for coming on and doing the podcast. And I hope you stay safe out there on the road and you get back to Omaha all in one piece.
Yeah, that is job one, safety. Nothing we do is worth doing it. But it's nice talking with you.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep you on the roster. We'll get you back on again in the future. Okay, Chris? Be safe out there.
Okay. You bet. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, Chris. That's Chris Gussenhoven. I got it right that time. H&M driver of 10-plus years and father of one, married for 40 years. Great guy there. Loved getting to talk to him. And, we tried to source some drivers that have family at home, and it might be just because of the fact that they had family at home that it might not be the easiest thing for them to do. And so Chris was able to step in and really save the day there. So huge tip of the cap and a happy Father's Day to you, Chris. Thanks again, and we will definitely get you on the podcast again at a later date. Joining us now on the H&M Trucking podcast is carrier support specialist for JFL Logistics, Faith Adams. Faith, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, before we get into your questions here, because we are talking about Father's Day, and there's a very special reason we brought you on to this episode, I do want to let the listeners know you are the daughter of one of our monthly guests, one of my favorite guests, and the only lady that keeps me in check around here, Miss Eve Essary. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I was fortunate enough to meet you when I was down in Omaha, meeting everybody at H&M. And your mom, just an awesome person. We didn't get to talk to her on the Mother's Day special, so want to wish her, I guess it wasn't really a Mother's Day special, but it was a highlighting the women in H&M Trucking last week. Eve is one of the great women that works there at H&M, and you obviously work in the same office down there, so I just want to tell you how much I absolutely love your mom, because she really does keep me in check, and she also is so much fun on the podcast. So I'm expecting great things out of you today, Faith. I got to be honest. She sets a high bar.
Well, I don't know if I can meet that high bar, but I will try my best.
I've got this sneaking feeling you're going to do just fine. So the reason we brought you on is because, we're kind of tipping our caps to the fathers out there on our Father's Day special. And you grew up with a truck driver as a father, correct?
Correct, yeah. My dad drove truck. Well, he's been driving truck. He's still a driver for about 22 years now, I would say.
Wow. What was it like growing up with a driver for a dad?
Yeah, so sometimes it was kind of hectic. I am the oldest of 8 siblings, so trying to wrangle in everybody with one parent gone most of the time. A lot of my life, he was only around for like 2 weekends a month, if that. But it also made the time that we had together really special. We were always, taking trips or going just down to the lake and going fishing. And so I have a lot of really special memories with my dad and him being home that, I wouldn't necessarily get if he was home all the time.
Well, that's a great transition to my next question. Did you guys have, other than fishing, obviously, did you have any special rituals or special things that you would do almost every time he came home, like something that you just had to do with your dad?
So usually we go in and get ice cream. We're a big ice cream family. So whether we go to the store and get, a thing of ice cream and have a family movie night, because, 8 kids, it gets expensive to go out anywhere.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So occasionally we'd go to Dairy Queen, and that was always a treat. But we'd go get ice cream, and even to this day, my dad, he does Omaha Shag now for H&M, and my youngest sister is 10 years old, and when he leaves for a trip, he comes back, and she's like, okay, Dad, can we go get ice cream? And they'll go down to the gas station and get ice cream, just the two of them.
That's so cool. Well, we're a big ice cream family on this podcast, too, and I don't know if you've been introduced to the fabulous ice cream brand that is Tillamook ice cream, but you and I can have a chat about that sometime later. That's a local to me over here in Oregon brand. They're starting to ship it nationwide. It's taking over the podcast team. Everybody's into it. So next time you're out shopping and you want to get your dad something special for when he comes home, Tillamook ice cream is the way to go.
I might have to check that out.
You definitely will. You won't go back. I'm sorry that your ice cream or that your freezer is going to look like an ice cream store because you'll buy every flavor that they have. So get back to me later on. Next time we talk to you on here, you'll have to let me know if you were able to try any.
Yeah, absolutely.
You talked about when he comes home and how exciting it is when he gets home. Did he ever come home and surprise you at a time when you weren't expecting it?
All the time. I feel like every time he came home was a surprise, because his schedule was so chaotic a lot of the times with being OTR, and you never know when your home time is until like a few days before that sometimes. He would just show up, or we'd come home from school one day and he'd be home, and it was like, oh, great, Dad's home for the weekend.
That's awesome. And what was like one thing for you, maybe it was a school event or like after school, extracurricular activity that he would not miss? Did he have one of those? It's like, I'm coming home, whether it was a holiday or birthday or anything like that?
Usually, so I was in band and choir in school, so usually he was always home for my band concerts. That was kind of always been our thing. One time when I was in middle school, my mom got really sick and she was in the hospital. It was my very first band concert, and something happened, and my dad wasn't going to be there either, and he, moved heaven and earth to be there somehow, and ever since then, he's just never missed one.
That's so cool. I hear so many stories about that, talking to all the drivers that I get to talk to, where it's like, listen, if I have to, like you said, move mountains, move heaven and earth, I'm getting home for XYZ event. And I think that's so cool because, I was fortunate when I grew up. I was also in band and choir, that type of thing. I always had a rock band from the time that I was about 13, and I played in the school band and everything. And my parents worked right there in the same town, so they were at all of those events. And I imagine if you hadn't seen your dad for a couple of weeks, it was pretty cool to see him in the crowd when you were lining up. What did you play, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I played the flute and the piccolo in my school band, and then French horn for a little bit. I had a little stint with the French horn.
Oh, nice. I feel like everybody dabbles in the horn. I was a drummer, and whenever I didn't feel like playing the drums, I would go down and sit next to my buddy Kyle and play the trumpet, and I was really bad at it.
Yeah, I went through a thing where I just didn't want to be like every other, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl in middle school playing the flute. And I was like, I'm going to play the French horn.
Every girl that played the flute in my school was blonde hair, blue-eyed as well. It's funny. And the Burnett's all played the clarinet. So it was, they kind of had their little groups there. That's funny that you mentioned that.
My Burnett sisters played the clarinet, so I understand.
So it's obviously, like, this isn't something you and I are just making up. This is set in stone. Okay. That's good to know. Did you ever get to go on the road with your dad?
I do. I actually have battle scars from the road.
Tell me about those.
So I was 12 years old. My dad was I was living over by Grand Island, Nebraska, and my dad was doing a short day trip over to Iowa. And it was summer. He was like, hey, let's go on the road. I was like, awesome. Like, it's my first time in a truck. I'm so excited. Fast forward, it was not as fun as I thought it was going to be. The very first truck stop we stopped at, I'm getting out of the truck to go use the bathroom. And I don't know what they're called. I know I'm in trucking. I should know what the part of the truck is called. I'm sure I'll get mixed up for not knowing. But it's like the really hot metal part, like the stacks, maybe that's what they're called.
Yep.
I touched my back getting out of the truck to that. And I had like 3rd-degree burns on my shoulder blade. We were in the Love truck stop, and my dad was buying all the first aid that he could, trying to bandage me up until we could get home to my mom, because he had no idea what he was doing.
Oh, Faith. Oh, my God. And as a 12-year-old, you were probably just losing your mind, I imagine.
Traumatized. And this is the very first stop of the day. And we're in Iowa. There's no going home. Like, I'm committed to finishing this day out with this burnt back.
Did he have second thoughts about bringing you on the road after that?
He did, especially when we were getting unloaded, because he was doing dry vans. So we were getting unloaded, and I fell asleep in the bunk. And so there's a lovely picture of me on the internet sleeping at 12 years old.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because he said that I'm such an awesome co-pilot that he had to post it for everybody to see.
That's so cool, though. I mean, what a keepsake for him to have. His 12-year-old daughter sleeping in the bunk of his truck, though. That's probably something that he cherishes. What a cool moment. Thank you for sharing that story. This is something, now, I hear from a lot of drivers that they like to bring home gifts from the road from time to time for their kids and their families. Did your dad ever surprise you with, like, a super cool gift that he got when he was out on the road?
Not that I can remember. My dad's always been into, like, bringing little knick-knacky stuff every once in a while. So nothing that stands out. Yeah, nothing that stands out.
But he did definitely come home with things from time to time. It was just little stuff.
Right, little stuff, like maybe a keychain that he saw. He brought flowers home a lot.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm sure that was, because my mom had the kids for so long. But
Right. Now, this is a question, and if the answer is no, I'm totally fine with that. But it's not as fun as these other questions that I've asked you, because this is something that I also hear from certain family members. Did you ever have any, like, I guess the word would be resentment, or did it ever just kind of get under your skin a little bit that he was gone so often when you were younger?
Sometimes it would be horrible when, as a little kid, you're going and playing all these sports, and, you see other people's dads and moms there, but yours aren't there. Or in school, a lot, people thought that my mom was a single mom and that I didn't have a dad. And so teachers would call, or he would show up to parent-teacher conferences, and they'd be like, oh, you do have a husband. So that was always kind of hard. It's like people never actually thinking that my dad was real.
And when you would talk to him about that, like, what was his advice for you on dealing with those people in those situations?
Mainly just, in one ear, out the other. I mean, people are going to talk, and it is what it is. But, he knew that he loved us and that all of that. You know what you tell little kids.
Right. And you knew, obviously, that he loved you, too. It's like, that's one thing that you've always got there in your own heart. Look, it doesn't matter what anybody says. I see what this guy does for me, and I know that he's a good dad.
Right. And it's not like he's out there because, he likes being away from us. He's out there making money and hustling for his family, just like all the drivers out there, really. Nobody is being away from home because they love to be away from home and they love to be away from their family.
Yes, 100%. And, it's something, I feel like it's a part of the job that we hear about all the time. Like, oh, how could you handle being on the road? How could you be away from your family? It's like, I feel like the easy answer to that is like, I don't want to be away from my family, but I'm good at what I do, and I make a good, solid living for my family doing it. So, everybody makes sacrifices for their job. I mean, people that sit 9 to 5 in a cubicle like you do, you're making sacrifices. I'm sure you'd rather be out at the lake fishing.
Right. Home with my dogs,
Exactly.
Like that.
Well, hey, I want to give you the floor here because good chance, since your dad does work for H&M and sits in a truck when he does, he might listen to this podcast. So is there anything that you would like to tell him for Father's Day right here on the H&M Trucking podcast?
Yeah, just thank you for, all the years that you put in over the road working for our family and building us up. And we love you, and happy Father's Day.
Awesome. Faith, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day today and chatting with us about your dad. And I don't know what you were afraid of because I can tell that you are Eve's daughter. You did absolutely fantastic today. And now I feel like there's going to be two of you to keep me in check. I'm just going to be an honorary member of your family if you're not careful.
You might as well. There's so many of us that when we add one more, we never notice. If you saw our family picture, it looks like a whole army.
That's great. I'm going to Photoshop myself into one of those family pictures and sneak it onto your mom's desk next time I'm in Omaha.
Please do. I will help you. I will set it on there for you.
Perfect. Faith Adams, she is a carrier support specialist for JFL Logistics. Thank you so much for joining us today, Faith.
Yeah, thanks, Marcus.
We've reached that part in the episode where it's time for us to hear from the man at the top. President of H&M Trucking, James Fonda, joins us right now. But more importantly, father of two, James Fonda, joins us right now. James, how's it going out there today?
Great. Yourself?
I can't complain, man. My wife gets me a Father's Day gift because I'm the father of two corgis each year. She normally give me a free round of golf or something like that. So I'm looking forward to this whole Father's Day thing. How about you?
I've always said that the Father's Day to me really doesn't matter that much. Like the Mother's Day thing is way more valuable. The Father's Day thing is like just another day. But just each their own.
Yeah, I get you. Well, I feel spoiled, to be honest with you, because it's not that hard taking care of the corgis, and they sleep through the night, which is something that I know is a big struggle that a lot of parents go through. You have two adorable children, Charlie and Stewie. Tell me a little bit about what a dad has brought you as far as, I guess, with respect to running the company. What have you learned from your kids that you can translate over into running H&M Trucking?
Patience. Both of them are so wildly different. Charlie is going to be she's 1.5 and she's already showing her colors. she's definitely gonna be my like wild girl. She's nuts. Like Stuart will come up to me 4.5 and say, "Dad, Charlie's crazy." I'm like, I know. Like I'm well aware of this, buddy. And he's like definitely like the empath, and so they're just so vastly different. And it's fun because you can kind of see a little bit of you and a little bit like myself and Leslie in both of them. Like he'll definitely get like surprise, surprise. I'm very competitive, but I do a very good job of keeping it internal. I don't really let it show externally. And Stu, since like day one, that like once he figured out sports, like he just if you score a goal on him, if like just loses his mind, like just can't handle it. He just left it. I'm like, okay, like Leslie looks at me like, thanks, James, like you did this. And I'm like, well, hold on, this is trainable. Like these are teaching moments. So then so then now I've got it up to when he gets frustrated like that. It's like, okay, you have to step away and you have to get yourself back in check, and then you can come back. It's, I'm shortening up what I said to him. So now he loves soccer, so I'm using the reference. So he score a goal and then he gets pissed off because, of course, I'm like the dad. Like, I'm not going to not score a goal on you, and just because you're gay all pissy. Like, no, you're going to deal with this. And so he'll go storm off, slam like a door, scream, like just like in this anger rage, and then he'll come back perfectly content and ready to go again.
Hey, nice. So he's learning.
Yeah. I'm like, see, this is it's 4, and then I'm like, when my mom just cracks up, she's like, what in the world? I'm like, yeah, he's ultra competitive. And so that's been a lot of fun to help navigate. But it's funny because, like I said, he's an empath as well. So he really feels, see how the other side, he like really feels when someone feels something or hurts, or he like really wants people to be happy. So it's like such a confusing mind for me to like watch like both of those traits exist in one body.
So he's going to be the kid that's going to put up a hat trick, but then go over and tell the goalie like, it's okay, man, you'll get better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I always say, be better. So he'll do it in an endearing way.
That's great. Well, you're a good dad, man. I could tell that you really enjoy being a dad. I see your Facebook posts and stuff like that, and it's a really cool thing to see. And around Father's Day, I feel like we should always kind of tip our caps to the dads out there. And I want to give you a chance to tip your cap to some of the dads that work for you there at H&M. Talk to me about some of your dads that are truck drivers. I know it's a tough job to do as a dad, and I know you got a lot of dads out there on the road. How do they juggle the home life balance with being on the road OTR?
Oh, I mean, I know that a lot of them struggle with it sometimes. That's one of the biggest things with being out as long as you have to with us. You're not home. The wives are ready to kick you out, but the kids, that's a little bit different. So, I feel for them. It's, you're definitely choosing a certain life, and not necessarily everybody agrees with it. You just, I'm not OTR. I'm lucky that, but once I have to travel. I was military for a while, but but that was way before kids and way before a wife. Man, I couldn't imagine being out for 3 or 4 weeks away from my kids at this point. But my dad, growing up, my dad was gone frequently. So I was used to that world where they were kind of in and out. And that was just life.
For sure. Do you have any stories about when one of your drivers just came through for his family, or maybe when you kind of moved some things around and helped them out so that they could be a part of something that their family had going on back home?
Yeah, without giving too much detail. I mean, I've deadheaded people home from like Minnesota. Try to buy them flight. I don't know. I've bought people flight. There's probably numerous stories of how many of things that I've done just to get people positioned back to where they need to be, and that, whether that's family or something else personal with going on or whatever it is, I've tried to always be there as much as I can for the drivers, and I've stressed that it's pretty much every single person across the company, and if they're not on board with that, like, then you're out.
I hear it from a lot of the drivers that I talk to, if not all the drivers, that H&M's kind of a family-focused company, and one of the big things that they really like about working for you is that they know that you'll have their back if there's something that goes on that they need to be home for, because, listen, that's the most important thing, right? Everybody's got a job, but everybody's got that family too, and it's so big just being there. It's one of the things that I asked one of my friends that's a father I said, like, what's the most important thing to you about being a dad? And he goes, just being there. Sometimes I don't have to do or say anything. I just need to be there. I need to be the presence. And that's huge when you work at a job like as an OTR driver. Being able to be there is a key cog in the wheel.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a different world that even you and I can imagine.
Yeah. Can you tell me who you think the most, like, peak dad of H&M is? Like, when you talk to this person, you see
Peak dad?
This is the peak dad. This is the dad of all dads that we have working here.
Jim is up there. Jim Musel in the shop. Are you saying drivers or all H&M?
Anybody. And it's nice because Jim was one of the guys that was kind of creeping into my mind. When I met Jim, I saw pictures of his kids. I saw graduation photos. I saw all sorts of stuff. And he was kind of the one that came to mind for me as well.
Oh, I mean, he is all 100% in on board with it. Yeah, there's no doubt disputing that. How much he supports. You know, I love hearing the stories. I get frustrated too. Because, our parenting, his kids are obviously older. So of all, like, Jim is definitely the most vocal. So I'll give him that award. Okay,
good. I like that. Last thing I've got for you before I let you get back to it here. Do you bring any of your dad habits to work? Do you see yourself doing dad things at work that you just kind of instinctually do, and it comes from, taking care of Stuart and Charlie?
Not dad things because I'm a dad, but I have, like, caught myself things that my dad did to me, and, like, I put, like, I'm like, oh, no, and I'll put, like, a hard stop to that. So, like, you will not be this. Like, that be better comment, that started as a joke internally, and now it's become, like, a wild, just the kids, like, oh, come on, be better. But now it's become like quite a joke with internally with JFL and recruiting. If they screw up, I'm like, just be better.
Hey, you even told me that when I was in Omaha a couple of times, so I feel like I'm in on it now.
Yeah. So once you cross that line, you're in.
In fact, I think that it was when I missed my flight is when I was telling you that story. You looked at me and you're just like, be better. I was like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yep. See, that is definitely something that's crossed from home to work.
Yeah. Well, James, I really appreciate the time today. We're going to let you get back to it. I'm going to wish you a happy Father's Day again. I hope Leslie and the kids take care of you, and thank you so much for your time today.
All right, thanks.
All right, it's time for a new segment here on the H&M Trucking Podcast. We're going to bring you these recurring segments. I've kind of told you about it. We're going to move to something that isn't quite as jarring as kids getting hit by vehicles or watching out for kids, which is still important. Do not forget it. But this is a little segment we like to call Okay, Fifth Wheel. An okay fifth wheel is exactly what it sounds like. It's that time of year. There are a ton of RVs on the road, and that means you as truck drivers have to be ever more vigilant because, let's be honest with you, if you're going out with the family, you're taking them to the lake, or you're going camping, or you're going up to the mountains to hike and fish and hunt, whatever you're doing, you're probably not paying as much attention to the road as you should be because, well, you're excited to get to your destination, and that's where these stats come in here that are a little bit shocking. GetNux brings us these from their blog. Listen to this. RV accidents can be a serious issue, and it's important to understand the statistics behind them. Approximately 20% of all RV accidents result from blowouts or tire failure, which is pretty important to think about. That's 1 in 5 that the tire just explodes. That driver probably has no way to prevent that. It's not really what I would call a preventable accident, but it can gather up a lot of people, especially if it's a big motorhome or a big fifth wheel trailer. And let's face it, they're not like you professional drivers out there. They're not doing pre-trip checks like they should. And it's probably a better idea for them to do some sort of pre-trip inspection and post-trip inspection when you're dealing with an RV that sits for most of the year. 61% of these accidents are caused by driver error, okay? That actually is a little bit lower than what I expected, but we'll move on. 45% of RV crashes happen during the summer months, and 36,000 motorhome accidents happened across the United States in 2018 alone. Here's the one that really stands out to me because we are a trucking podcast after all. 34% of RV collisions involve commercial vehicles, while 69%, surprisingly enough, are single vehicle accidents. 34%, 1 in 3 is what you're telling me involve a commercial vehicle. Look, RVs and semi-trucks are some of the biggest vehicles out there on the road. And one thing I can say is it's important to just be vigilant around these people. Dean Edmonds, safety manager there at H&M Trucking, brought up a really good point when I was in Omaha. He talked about the storage compartments that people will put on top of their vans and their passenger vehicles. Sometimes they don't secure those things, and maybe the whole thing flies off. Maybe it just flies open and your windshield gets covered in somebody's dirty laundry. One way or the other, that's a really bad thing that can happen. And once again, it goes back to them just checking this stuff before they jump on the road. But it doesn't happen. The numbers show that people that are out there in RVs and are recreating do not check this stuff because there are a lot of accidents this time of year. So, because we have to say, okay, fifth wheel, watch out for these RVs and motorhomes out on the road. Be safe, drivers. We don't want to hear about anything happening to you out there that was the fault of somebody else that could have been prevented with just a little bit of care. Joining us now on the H&M Trucking Podcast, the man, the myth, the legend, it's Jim Musel, Service and Equipment Manager for H&M Trucking. How's it going, Jim?
Good. How you doing, Marcus?
Doing pretty good. Father's Day is right around the corner, and the reason that I had you in mind for this interview is because when I was there in Omaha, I saw some pictures of your family. I know you were a big family-oriented guy, and you seemed like the perfect dad to come and talk to us a little bit for our Father's Day special. What's the best part about being a dad for you, Jim?
Oh, watch my kids grow up. That's the best part. Being around for them, watching them grow is the best.
And how many kids do you have, and how old are they?
I have 2 daughters. One's 20, and the other one is 16.
Okay, so you're kind of in peak high school sports time. Sounds like one of them's probably just finished with all the high school extracurriculars, and the other one's right in the thick of it right now. Yeah.
Yep.
And do you have like a favorite sport that they play or a favorite activity that they participate in?
Well, my youngest, Katie, she shoots trap, so she shoots shotgun, 12 gauge, and does competition.
She a good shot?
Yeah, she's good. They got at the state tournament. They for girls squad, they ended up 3rd in the state. So
wow,
that's pretty good.
That's great. Oh, you don't want to mess with her then because she knows how to handle a firearm.
Nope, not at all.
So tell me, what's the ideal Father's Day gift that you could receive from the wife and kids?
Just being around them for the evening and dinner, and sometimes just saying Happy Father's Day or just a card or something. Nothing big. Don't ask for a lot. Just like to be around them.
It's funny because it's very similar to what James told us. I talked to H&M President James Fonda earlier in the podcast, and he said kind of the same thing. I said, are you excited about Father's Day? And he said, really, it's not the most significant thing to me. I really, pull out all the stops for Mother's Day, but as far as Father's Day is concerned, they don't have to really do much for me. Sounds like the same thing for you. So you must pull out the stops on Mother's Day as well, yeah?
I try. I don't pull it out enough, but I try my best.
Okay. Now, can you talk to me about some of the dads that you work with? You guys see a lot of professional drivers, obviously, guys that are away from home a lot. Do you have like an example out there of a time that a dad kind of went over the top to kind of put work on the back burner and go be a dad? Or maybe an example, if you don't have one of a driver, maybe a time that you did?
We have, our mechanics and stuff here at H&M. If they got something going on, we try and do it as a family, everybody's like family here. So if somebody, say like Mark Minks, he just had a baby girl a year ago, and, he spent some time home with her, take it off of work a couple of weeks and helped his wife out right after the baby was born. That's pretty good to do. And he has a son that he's working with, he's 11 years old now and enjoying all that. So everybody here's got some kids, and everybody, they might be different ages, but the dads come out in them, and the teen years are the funnest years, I'd say.
Okay.
That's where they keep you a little more happy and happening. So
a little more sleep too,
toes.
maybe a little more sleep.
Yeah, a little more sleep, a little bit more gray hairs coming faster when they get a little bit in that age.
Now, Jim, I don't want to. I'm not trying to be disparaging when I say this, but you're a big dude. You're kind of an intimidating dude. Have you ever had to scare off any boyfriends that have been sniffing around your daughters?
I've got a boy that really likes my daughter, and he knows that where to cross the line and not to cross the line. We've had them talks. Yes, I've been told many times that for my size, I do show an intimidating side, and I don't always try and do that, but it happens.
Yeah, for sure. I feel you there. It's funny, my wife's late father-in-law, may he rest in peace. The one rule that my wife had for me when we were younger and I was going to meet him for the first time was, you can't wear your hat backwards in this guy's house. I don't know what his problem is with it. Just don't do it. And I at that point in time, I was wearing my hat every which way except for forward. And, I kind of liked that she gave me that heads up and didn't let me walk head first into that buzzsaw. Just because, I want to respect the dad. And I'm sure this guy that's trying to court your daughter feels the same way. There's no reason to disrespect the dad. It only creates problems for yourself.
Right. And it's, to me, it's, everybody says, oh, you got to have a talk that, hey, you got to run under my rule. It's just, to me, is respect me, and I'll respect you. Just don't cross the line, and, that's how I feel.
Sure. Would you believe it if I told you that I asked James Fonda who the quintessential dad was? Who was the peak dad at H&M Trucking across the entire company? And he said that you were?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's very nice to hear. I appreciate that.
I mean, dad of the year over here, man. And it's, I think that really speaks to not only just the upbringing that you are capable of giving your daughters, but also that you enjoy being a dad. It's something that you really look forward to get to spend that time with your daughters. And I was super happy that he said you, because I knew I had this interview lined up, and I couldn't wait to tell you that, because it's a high honor. You got a lot of dads that you're working there with.
Yes, there's a lot of dads here. But you know what? We're all dads, and we care about our kids.
Sure.
And that's the biggest thing.
What would you say was some of the biggest things that you took from your dad and helped you kind of become a dad when your daughters were little? People don't have a frame of reference because they've never been a parent before. What did your dad teach you about being a parent?
Make sure that you can put a roof over their head, food on the table, and clothes on their back. He worked so we could do stuff. And he took sacrifice to work that way.
For sure. Yeah, my dad.
It's hard work.
My dad always worked, 60 plus hours a week when I was a kid, and I always saw that and thought, man, am I going to have to do that someday? And the answer in my head was always yes. If you have kids, you will have to do that someday. That's just the way it goes, and you're going to want to give them the best life you possibly can.
Yeah, that is correct.
Well, Jim, I really appreciate the time today. I want to wish you a happy Father's Day. Being crowned Peak Dad.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
I hope you have a good one. I hope the wife and the daughters take care of you and you get to spend some time. Maybe they'll make you a big steak or something like that. Enjoy yourself, okay?
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Yep. Bye.
That's going to wrap it up nicely and put a bow on it for our Father's Day special here on the H&M Trucking Podcast. I want to thank all the dads and daughters that came on and talked to us today. Deanna, Faith, of course, we had Chris Gussenhoven for our driver profile, Jim Musel from the shop, and Mr. President himself, James Fonda. Happy Father's Day to those of you out there that are fathers and are celebrating this weekend. And if not, happy Father's Day to your dad. One thing that we saw as a theme for this episode that I thought was awesome is that if any dad could have the gift of a lifetime, that perfect, ideal gift, it was just to spend more time with the family. How heartwarming is that for a Father's Day special? I want to say happy Father's Day to my dad, Les. Thank you so much for being such a great dad and always supporting this podcast and everything that your wacky son has put out there on the airwaves. I do apologize for some of it, but we're not going to get into specifics right now. We'll see you all next week right here on the H&M Trucking Podcast. You thought I was not going to say it. Happy Father's Day, cheese bags. Stay fresh.
Thank you for listening to the H&M Trucking Podcast. Please leave a review, subscribe, and connect with Marcus over at the H&M Trucking social media channels. And if you're considering a job at H&M, find us at hmtrucking.com. Until next time, stay safe and ahead of the curve drivers.